it was the super soul. I completely, 100% forgot that I have class. And then somehow Krishna said, turn on the computer. And then I was told. So without any preparation, I'll go and try to find out where we left the last time and just read verses and then speak, and hopefully we're on Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, we're on jnana, knowledge. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start at 103. Om of chapter book 2, chapter 2, text 103. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aśeṣa-sādhanaiḥ sādhyaḥ samastārthādhikādhikār yo vaśī-karaṇe gāḍho pāyo bhagavato dvayaḥ tat-prasādaika-labhyo yas tad-bhaktaika-mahā-nidhiḥ vicitra-paramānandam mādhurya-bhara-pūritaḥ mahā-nirvācya-māhātmyaḥ padārthaḥ prema-saṁjñakaḥ pariṇāma-viśeṣe ceto-vṛtter udeti. There is one goal in all disciplines, one highest attainment of all, the only potent means to bring the Supreme Lord under one's control. Only by the mercy of the Lord can it be gained. It is the rare, exclusive treasure of his devotees, a treasure rich with every sort of transcendental ecstasy and sweetness. Its wonderful glories are beyond the power to describe. That attainment is called prema. It arises from special transformations of the mind. To uphold and further explain the statement of the previous verse, text 103 and 105 describe 7 characteristics of love for Krishna. Om jnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya chaksu unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasade Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, the first volume is Bhagavat Kripa Sar, ascertaining the essence of the mercy of Krishna. This is the goal of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, Bhakti Swayam. It's to taste and give the Lord's own bhakti to himself. And Sanatana Goswami has the mission to give that to the world by properly conceptualizing and expressing it. Of course, this is a point that's mentioned again and again and again, that there's no frame of reference within our material experience for the transcendental reality. So if logic is based on our corporal, our experience here, it's not going to be able to ascertain this Bhagavat Kripa Sar. It can be ascertained by applying, by your intelligence being empowered by God's mercy. And anyway, certainly Sanatana Goswami's was, and he was able to kind of give us some idea. My own reading between the books, trying to understand the author here, is it's such a difficult subject to really properly conceptualize, and have the purification and faith to hear and realize it, that he presents it from another perspective, and that's Goloka Mahatmya, to explain the place, to reveal the love that the place is constructed to facilitate. And then we have this wonderful story of Gop Kumar, and he's on now Tapaloka, and he has like two minds, because one, he really wants to exchange. He has that faith. He wants the form of God, and when he's not in the presence of the form of God, he immediately feels separation. So he has somehow this inherent love for Krishna, being a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, a cowherd boy. And he sees the object of his love in other forms of God, which give him some satisfaction, but not ultimate satisfaction, because it's the person he has a relationship with, but not manifesting that aspect of themselves which he has a relationship with. To have a relationship with a person, a relationship in love, they must manifest and be inspired to manifest the aspect of their being, personality, nature, whom you have that relationship with. My father, but it's not a father to everyone. My lover, it's not a lover to everyone. My friend, it's not a friend to everyone. My master, is my sir. That comes out in love. So he's with the person, but not with the manifestation of that person's love and the personality that's manifest through that love, which he has a relationship with. So in Tapaloka, everybody goes in kind of meditation, in samadhi. They are not even cognizant of something outside of themselves, and that's a problem for him. And they only come out to discuss bodhiyantas parasparam, enlightening one another. And this is, these are the tapasvis. These are the hardcore celibates. And he becomes frustrated, and he takes shelter of his mantra. But because the place is so peaceful, the revelation, his concentration and the revelation of the mantra becomes pronounced. Practice concentration over a period of time without any interruption. In the right mood, you get realization. I think sometimes the problems with our sadhana is that we don't concentrate over a period of time without interruption. And then there's no taste, because that's where the taste comes from. So he begins to focus, and then he says, I'm out of here. I'm going to And then one of the rishis, who happens to be one of the Novya-gendras, these 9 great saints mentioned in the 11th canto, Pipalayan rishi, he's a very compassionate guy. He says, why you're leaving? And then he presents, it's the mind, and he gives all these good reasons for the mind. If the mind's not there, can you say you're actually performing an activity? If you're in Bhagavatam class, but your mind is not there, are you actually performing the activity of hearing the Bhagavatam class? So he says, without the mind, you're not actually performing the activities. And he gives so many reasons. I'm just remembering offhand, but when you're enjoying an object and the object leaves, but if you have the bliss can stay within the mind, so it's the mind. And then he talked about here the previous verse about loving devotional service. He talked about prema bhakti, yata ruchi, it following one's taste. That reminds me of something that Bṛhad Prabhu once was meditating on and asking people what your taste is in Krishna consciousness. And what he said was very profound. Your taste is the door to the spiritual world. So what is your taste? Only the mind fixed in meditation can understand the anta angam, the inside anta, the inside thing, the most confidential offering to the Lord, which is what? The most confidential offering to the Lord is what? Your love, according to your taste, according to your mood. It's your love. So people, Lion of Rishi's making this argument. It's your love, it's the mind, it's your love, and that's in the mind. Only prema can bring you into that intimacy. Only prema can develop the full concentration of the mind. So, so he made that point. And now in this verse, he describes, and this is the goal. This is the sādhyaḥ. Of all sadhana, this is the sādhyaḥ. Samastārthādhikādhikaḥ, of all achievements, this is the adhika. This is the most proper. And for vaśī-karaṇe, bringing the mind under control, this is the potent. And he gives all these descriptions of prema. So he's continuing to argue. Manaso hi samadhanam manyase dushkaram yadi chakshu sapalya kamova bhagavantam dadikshase tatgacha bharatam varsham tatronatrattamishvaram narayanam narasakam pasyadhrao gandamadane. If you think that focusing the mind in meditation is too difficult, or if you are eager to see the personality of God and to fulfill the purpose of your eyes, then go to Bharatvarsha. There you will find our Lord residing on Gandamadana mountain as Narayan, the friend of Nara. Purport, perhaps Gop Kumar feels himself unfit to achieve samadhi by yoga meditation. Or perhaps he thinks that although samadhi may be easily obtained by the natural influence of tapalok, by the power of his mantra, the samadhi will satisfy only his mind and not his eyes. In that case, he can gratify his eyes by going to see Lord Narayan. So it's actually such a nice example of people lying a rishi. In a very gentle way, he presents what's highest, but if you're still determined, okay, then go. You can bring you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The Buddhi Beta Padiyam in the Bhagavad Gita, don't disturb the foolish and ignorant. If they have their faith. So, here we go. So, okay, 108. Antabahishta pasyamas tam samadhi parayana nato vicheda dukam syad ityagat tattasa prabho. We devotees of yoga samadhi see Nara and Narayan both within and without ourselves, and so there being no danger of our suffering pain, and so there being no danger of suffering pain due to separation from the Lord, he went to Gandhamadana. I have a digital, and sometimes it's different from the book. Let me see if I can fit. We devotees of yoga samadhi see Lord Narayan both within ourselves, and so there being no danger of our suffering. Purport. The sages in Tapaloka need go nowhere else to see the form of the Lord they worship. They see the Lord within their hearts on the strength of their meditation, and that inner vision presents itself externally wherever they look. So again, he's promoting the mind. Living there as guru in the science of weaponry, he dresses as a brahmachari, his hair in matted locks, and performs severe austerities as an instruction for the benefit of the world. Loka siksha hitartam, for the benefit of the world, he gives instruction. Kurvan asti mahatapa, and he's performing the greatest severe austerities there as an instruction to the world. Dhanur vidya guru Brahma, and he is the guru of the science of weaponry, and chari, brahmachari, vesho jata, and he wears matted locks, and he's dressed as a brahmachari. So different incarnations of God have different purposes, and it seems that Narayan is meant to instruct and inspire the world on austerity, which tapo divyam yena kaputra sattvam shudyed yasman brahmasokyam tunantam. Tapo divyam yena kaputra sattvam. It's unlived, the austerity, divine austerity. Of course, our austerity is yukta vairagya, balanced attachment, renouncing those things that have no value to Krishna's service. But austerity, which is defined in the 11th canto in the purports by the BBT, despite the irrational impulses of the mind and senses, you do your service. It's very important, not that we artificially do austerity, but the potency, the item of austerity is within our practice. Because when you I used to, despite, when you neglect the mind, you conquer the mind. So it's purification of the mind. Si Gopa Kumar Uvacha Tataiva Gantu Kaman Mam Chatvarasana-kadaya Pasyatraiva Tamit Yukta Bahurupanya Darsayam. Sri Gopkumar said, observing that I was eager to go there, the four brothers, headed by Sanaka, told me, just see, he is right here, and showed me many forms of the Lord. So they're Shaktavesh avatars, and they somehow have the potency to, this is all on Tapaloka, manifest the Lord's forms. And it's interesting, this journey of Gopakumar. I was studying with Niranjan Swami, and it was describing Brahmalok, and then Satyalok, and then some are pure and they go further high back to Godhead, and some have to go back to earth. And then in the second canto, there's this journey, and this is going to mention here, there's this journey that you have to go through the layers of the universe. And the first one, the universe is 4 billion, the next one is 40 billion, the next one is 400 billion, the next one is 4,000 billion, the next one is 40,000 billion, next one is 400,000 billion miles, each one. And they eat, like the earth is fragrance, and next one is water, it's taste. So you have to go through taste. You have to go through taste. You have to go through vision, all the allurement of the senses, and as you become detached, you can go. And there's, I think it's called Archie. There's so many descriptions of this kind of purification to get back to Godhead. And of course, it's somehow also recommended that direct surrender to Krishna, you can fast track your liberation. I'm seeing all these. So he says, they said, just see right here, Bahu Rupani Adarshanam. We can show you right here many forms. So it's something. And Gopkumar's, he meets his guru, he's not ready yet. So I was joking with Niranjan Swami, and we were laughing hysterically because it sounded so out of place. I just said, I was just reflecting how people think, it's so easy, just give your life to Jesus and you're back. They say, oh, he's back with God, he's back with his Lord, he's back. We don't think it's that easy. Of course, it's easy. The process is simple. The application is difficult. That application, that process of bhakti, of giving up the ego, the sense of independence from truth, from God. Eko Narayana Brito Vishnu Rupo Paro Bhavet Anyo Yogesha Rupo Bhut Paro Vidvata Rupavan. One brother assumed the form of Narayan, another Vishnu, the Lord of sacrifice, and the last assumed several different forms. Purport: the first brother, Sanaka, turned himself into the form of Lord Narayan. His older brother showed Lord Vishnu's forms as Vamanadev, as Lord Nrsingadev, as Lord Yogeshvara, who appears on Mahalok, and as several other avatars of Vishnu. Unless it comes up in the purport here, I have to say I'm a little bit, I read this before, a little bit confused. They're not Vishnu Tattva, I don't believe, because we know within God is everything, including all his other forms. But maybe somehow, by mystic power, they're able to. Trembling with fear, I joined my palms, bowed down, and said, I have surely offended you. O kind friends of the fallen, please forgive me. This is kind of like, there is an aspect of bhakti in Aishvarya where there's a devotional fear. Let's say someone has a respectable father, and out of devotion, they're afraid to disappoint them. Trembling with fear, I joined my palms, bowed down, and said, I have surely offended you. O kind friends of the fallen, please forgive me. They touched my head, and I attained a meditative trance in which I directly saw those various forms of the Lord. And even after I got up from meditating, by the momentum of my trance, I would sometimes behold, as if nearby, those same forms of God. Sprishto ham tar mudin labda samadhim drishtani praktani rupani apasyam bhutani pijana vegat kadachit prachani vanu pasya yeyam arhat. Gop Kumar, his mind, nearly perfect in concentration, needed only this additional blessing from the Kumars to behold the fruit of samadhi. Although the japa meditation he had performed in various places had been naive and without scientific understanding of yoga practice, it was equivalent to many years of strict practice of meditation in the elevated atmosphere of Tapaloka. And I think one of the themes of this Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, because we're watching Gop Kumar's journey, and he doesn't have a profound understanding. And sometimes it's indicated it's advantageous because he doesn't have gyan in the sense of the awareness of God's immanence. Because when you're too aware of God's immanence, you can't have an intimate feeling with God. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta, everyone, they describe, Raghunath Das Goswami says, on the highest platform, then you have no attraction for Aishwarya. Mother Yasoda, she saw within her mouth, what she saw within Krishna's mouth when he swallowed some mud and she was trying to clean, she saw the whole universe and she didn't like it. She saw that Krishna was God and she didn't like it because it created this fear, this distance, this obligation. So Gop Kumar, he didn't have this gyan, this or Aishwarya gyan, what to speak of Brahma gyan, where you so negate the material world militantly that you annihilate within your consciousness the sense of form and therefore can't accommodate the variety and form of God as transcendental. But he had his japa meditation and he was focused on God. And yesham twantakatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandvamohinir bhajan. Many years, yesham twantakatam papam, all this unlimited sin. Tesham twantakatam jananam punya karman. It's so purifying. Why? Because what's happening is within us, we have the seeds of so many previous deeds, so many previous desires. And according to God's karmic plan, they come out. But if you're engaged in devotional service, if you're engaged in fixing your mind, especially you're chanting japa and your mind is fixed, they come out. And it becomes a purification of the consciousness, that type of austerity. The irrational impulses, they come out, and if you neglect them, your heart becomes pure. But if you act on them, the impression goes back in the consciousness. So one who lives a spiritual life of dharma and spiritual practices, then after many, many years, bhajanti mam dridha-bhrata, he can do bhajan to Krishna dridha-bhrata. I'm seeing now, it wasn't at the beginning, I could sit up for hours and concentrate and hear We do this for our lives. We have to practice this austerity. So here, his chanting was equivalent of many years of strict meditation in the elevated atmosphere of Tapaloka. So we see somehow Gop Kumar is able to meditate. Then my japa easily improved in quality and became more joyful, but my mind was still agitated by thoughts of the sweet land of Braja. Tapo japa kame nishtam. His japa became avidata, sukham swata, became joyful, it became fixed. Kintu, but, kintu asya madhuri bhumir, bhumir, the land, the sweet land. And my mind, vyakula, would become agitated by these thoughts. And this is Gop Kumar. He has some natural bhakti, deep attraction, faith, experience in that sweetness of Braj. So it becomes disturbed. It comes up. No matter where he is, no matter how he's meditating, no matter what form he is with God, this is his deepest love. And it comes out by the chanting of the mantra. His guru said, by this mantra, you will get God. So he's feeling that. Susuptir eva kanchin me kadachid jayati dasha taya japen tarayasyat tat rupekshanatata. Sometimes my chanting and my visualization of the Lord's various forms would be disrupted when I fell in a state resembling deep sleep. Purport, as a secondary effect of samadhi, all mental and sensory activity may temporarily cease, and one may enter a kind of void state, similar to the deep sleep everyone goes through at night. In that state, Gop Kumar was unable to chant his mantra and see the Lord's personal form. So it's interesting. He has deep sleep and visualization of the Lord's form, which is very, very natural. Because when you say some person's name, it's not just void of any conception. It's not void of any. It's not void of any feelings. It's not void of any perception. If you love someone very, very much and their name is said, what to speak if the person is just gone and you mention their name and there's such deep emotion? So in high levels of bhakti, when one actually has feeling and emotion, the form is also always in the mind. And the feeling one has for that form. But somehow, in this level, somehow he's becoming so deeply in trance that he enters kind of like a void. I would lament over this and consider going to Nilachal, the residents of Tapaloka, and consult me and ask me what I was going through. Purport, after passing through these void-like states, Gopa Kumar would say to himself, how unfortunate I am. What is this unexpected disturbance? He would then want to go to see Lord Jagannath in Nilachala. We had never had to deal with such obstacles to his service. Pipalayana and the other Tapaloka Rishi Vasis tried to pacify him with sweet words and asked him what was going on in his mind. had some comment, but I forgot. Hearing my lamentful description, the sages would praise my state. I could not understand their praise because I thought I was going through was troublesome. Susukam katyamana sa shrutva bi prashasyate maya tata nabudyeta dukam evanu manyate. Hearing sasukam, so much pain, and hearing me katyama describing this, but the sages, they would praise me, and I couldn't. I thought, because I could not understand their praise because I was suffering so much. I couldn't understand why they praising me. They're seeing I'm going into samadhi, and that's the goal, but not for a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is not seeking self-satisfaction in that sense. He's seeking a dynamic relationship with God. And having that kind of faith and that type of objective, then one becomes disturbed by a conception that's described by deep sleep, which is restful and peaceful. By the power of yoga practice, I would see the Lord of the universe all around me. I saw him within and without in his various forms, as if he were present everywhere before the eyes. Sometimes when Sanaka and his brothers were absorbed in meditation, they would assume forms of the Lord. Seeing this, I would relish extreme pleasure, because he wanted to see somehow his remembrance of God. He needed that image to come into the consciousness through the eyes, not just generate it within the mind itself. He needed that object through his eyes. Purport: the Kumar brothers would often be so absorbed in meditating on a particular form of Vishnu that their bodies would take on the appearance of this form. This was the special qualification of meditation on Tapaloka. It resembled the intense meditation of the small insect that is attacked and killed by a Peshaskrit bee, and in the next life becomes a bee. So the mind, the face, is an index of the mind. And it's described here, and when the mind is so kind of absorbed, it can change the form. We have that just in common colloquial expressions of red with rage, white with fright, green with envy, the blues, cowardice, yellow. We have some kind of correlation between moods and forms. Even Lord Chaitanya is Srimati Radharani, so she has that form, that meditation, that Mahabhav Sarup. It becomes actualized in form. So somehow or other, it's describing here a material example where an insect is attacked by a bee, and then it becomes a bee. Tat rahiyate kale pi nasiddhami tarasaya itam chiradinam tatra suke natne vasam tata. Even when bereft of such encounters, I remain conscious of the Lord's personal forms, and so had no reason to lament. In this way, I lived there for a long time, for the most part, always happy. Purport: Gop Kumar says that he resided on Tapaloka happy, Sukhena, but he qualified with the word Eva, Sometimes he was less than completely happy, as when he remembered Vraja. So it seems like on Tapaloka, everyone has their faith, and they're in such ecstasy and meditation, and they are devotees, they're tapasvis, they're in shantaras. So they have such pleasure just meditating on God, on his immanence. So basically, it seems out of compassion, they said to Gop Kumar, who somehow was inherently attractive person, because his heart was filled with devotion. And love is the most attractive quality. And when it manifests physically as a product of the consciousness to please, it becomes so attractive. And the personality, the expressions of a Iha yasya dasye karmana manasagira Nicholas tu avaptas jiva mukta such Iha yasya dasye karmana manasagira. When one is absorbed like that in body, mind, and words, it becomes so attractive. Some people, Gail is there, Savita Bhattacharya, when she speaks Chaitanya Charitamrita, when she speaks in Bengali, it's so sweet. So our consciousness can actualize or materialize. It can materialize in our words. It can materialize our mind. It can materialize even in our body. When we smile, some people, I mentioned, I saw in, I think it's Nectar Devotion, it mentioned a particular smile that Krishna has is smita. And smita is the smile where the teeth are not shown, but the bhava of happiness is manifest in the face and in the smile. But just a joyful person who doesn't need any external stimulus to make him laugh. The joy is there within the heart itself. So he remained happy. He was seeing God. It somehow or other, he was able, he remained conscious of the Lord's forms. And that was a stimulus. This prema is the relationship between two objects in love, and there's an energy, and prema pamartha mahan. That is the greatest thing, to have that kind of connection and energy. And he wanted the form of God before him to have that energy. And the four Kumaras manifested that form, but the impressions were so strong that it stayed within his mind. Once four-headed Brahma came to Tapaloka riding on his swam. He was on his way to Pushkar Dweep to grace his devotees for a visit. That venerable personage, endowed with supreme opulence, was reverently worshipped by Sanaka and his brothers. Feeling humble, they bowed down to him in pure devotion. He increased the good fortune of the Kumaras by his blessings and affectionately smelling their heads. Then, after giving them some good instructions, he quickly went off to the Dweepa he was on the way to visit. When I asked the Kumaras to explain who he was, they laughed and said, "Dear cowherd boy, even after reaching this planet, you still don't know who this person is? That was Brahma, the Lord of all lords." And so he it's not satisfied, so he keeps on searching. So when he meets a higher personality that others are worshiping, then he's envisioning what is the Istadev, or the worshipful Lord of that person. And maybe that's where I'll find my fullest satisfaction. So he's going to somehow go there. A planet called Satyaloka stands above others. It is achieved by persons who have done their prescribed duties purely for 100 lifetimes. No mistakes. Have you made a mistake in any of your duties today? No mistake. 100 lifetimes. I think in Judaism, there's something like 660 mitzvahs, good deeds. So many good deeds. They should do good deeds 100 lifetimes. How pious are these people? What is their heart? Who do they worship? Let me go see. And there's a Mahapurush within the universe. Vishnu is there. So this is where we're going. And I have to say, these sections it's the Jnana section. It gets quite philosophical. So really, I should prepare them more. But Jumunajaya, you'd like to say a few, are you there today? Yes.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you
Okay.
for class. I think you've done it again when you come on and you say, I'm not prepared. And
I'm not. Actually, I know what this chapter is. I've been studying it. What prepared to me is really completely understanding the verses and in context, and.
but you still have so much to share. It's so wonderful.
Are
I
you in
really,
Jersey City?
yes, Maharaj, I'm sitting on my front steps. This is Jersey.
Wow, you live in such a great neighborhood there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's gotten a lot better since I moved here. It
Okay.
wasn't quite so nice. But I really appreciated the thing about the attention of the mind. And you quote often from the Yoga Sutras that what practice is and to be in the right state. And then if we don't, if we, I love the idea, if we neglect the impulses of the mind and the senses, they will go away. And we instead we give them more time. And so I've always loved that. And the other thing I really loved is the way you said that the Vaishnavas are looking for a dynamic relationship with God, not the Om Shanti. They want a dynamic relationship, and that's really wonderful. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Jumunajaya. Gail, you get your shot.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
Yeah, there are so many things that I didn't understand today. Well, one of them you mentioned was like, how do the four Kumaras who are not Vishnu Tattva, take the form of Vishnu? But maybe it's just like a superficial kind of
I'm not sure. That's why. I
appearance.
mean, I'm honestly not sure what exactly happened. I remember studying this in Niranjan Swami. I wasn't either. It just seems that they have they're tapaloka, they have mystic powers, and their meditation can become materialized. So I don't know
Yeah.
maybe that's like a deity, like you make a deity form, Krishna appears, so maybe they can materialize that form. One of the deities is people. There's seven deities, right? Of
Yeah.
different materials, of gold, of metals and jewels and sand and
But
wood
people
and
is just in their heart, no? Only in the
no,
heart.
no, actually, what happens is in Vrindavan they have Radha Krishna Leelas, and Radha and Krishna will be two people. So they feel also that Krishna's presence can sometimes manifest in a form, just like Shalagram Shilas,
Yeah.
so somehow or other. So let's say that. My speculation right now is if they have mystic powers, they're able to manifest a form of the Lord, which is like a deity form, which becomes spiritualized. We'll leave it at
But
that for
still,
now.
okay, but still, their tattva shouldn't change.
No, their tattva is not changed.
Okay, also, Maharaj, what was it that inspired that fear? I think it was fear in Gopal Kumar when he was in front of the Kumars.
I don't remember.
Okay, or how about when you were reading about prema, the connection between prema and the mind, that development, the connection between prema and the mind.
Prema is the perfection of the mind.
Yeah, that's the line. Prema is the perfection of the mind.
Of the mind. The mind is we are receptacles meant to hold, meant to be filled with love that can be offered to God, which is his pleasure.
Uh-huh.
So the perfection of our minds is when we can be the patra, the cup, the receptacle that can hold that prema.
Oh, that's what that means.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah. All right. And then just one last thing, Maharaj, is, why did the subject of going through I think it's like 7 layers of the universe, why did that come up?
Why did I mention that? Because it appears that Gop Kumar wants to go to Braj, but he can't go there. There's different lessons he has to learn, just like ourselves. There's different lessons we have to learn. And those lessons are learned as he, goes to, there's a direct process and an indirect process. And I think it's going to be described later on Brahmalok, that just go to the earth.
I thought that Gopakumar was taking the direct process.
No, he's not.
He's not?
He's certainly not. He's gone.
How
is that direct?
He's going through Mahalok, Tapalok.
Yeah, one planet after another. Okay, Gail.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Great. On your way to the city?
On my way to the city.
We have the city, we have the country.
We have both.
The country is upstate New York. When we grew up, it was the country.
Yeah.
Then we say the country. Haribo, Shraddhanjali, and
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thanks so much for class.
It was wonderful. I got to listen and before work today. So
well, great to see both of you. All of us from New Jersey, we love you very much.
Oh, thank you. We love you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Haribo. Anybody else say hello? Okay, I'll look at the list.
Maharaj, this is Krishnamrita. Thank you so much for the class.
Okay,
it was
great.
So important, yes, to hear many things. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm looking down the list of everybody that's there. Okay, I'll go now. Akadasi chant more rounds. Hare Krishna.